Hi, welcome to Doodling Faith. This is our next instalment in our Preferring Others series in collaboration with Hope and Kindness in Kenya, and we're going to be looking at reckless generosity. So if you haven't already checked out our Just Giving page, then feel free to head on over. We are so amazed and blown away by those of you who have supported us, but also those of you who have prayed intentionally for Hope and Kindness and really just kept them securely in your thoughts and in your prayers. You can check out more information on their website, where you can find information about their schools, as well as their farming and a lot of their community care. So if you would like to know more, then you can go on over to their website. Today I am in 2 Corinthians chapter 9, and I'm looking at verse 8 all the way to the end of the chapter. And this is called the cheerful giver. Now, Paul is speaking to the church in Corinth, and he's primarily talking about the church's response to the gospel. He's not really talking about money, although this is often preached in relation to us giving money and us supporting the local church, which is great and admirable and we should definitely be doing. But really it's talking about the greatest gift that we have been given, and that is the gift of salvation and the gift of the gospel. So there are 5 things that Paul talks about in this passage. And firstly, he talks about God's reckless generosity. You know, God has given us all things. He has given us all provisions, all gifts, all abilities, and he's asked that we use them. It's this idea of he pours out his blessing into us and we are just a vessel. And rather than just containing it and keeping for ourselves, he asks that we would allow this blessing to flow through us into other people's lives so that they can see the light of God shine in them through us. The second thing that he talks about is that we don't have to just have the finished product. We don't have to give what we don't have. We're only asked to be the seeds. And we give those to the sowers, the other people along our journey, the other Christians who are called to different works to us. It might be that I'm asked to give financially. It might not be that I'm asked to go on mission. But if that's what I'm called to do, then that's what I should be doing. It might be that I work part-time and I have more free time than other people, but I don't have the finance in order to support. That means that I'm called to give of my time. That could be in prayer, that could be in giving up my time in a charity shop, it could be visiting the sick, it could be providing meals for a young family that are really struggling. But it does not necessarily mean financially. It's the gifts and attributes that God has given you. And that is our act of worship, what we have being given back for God's glory. The third thing that Paul speaks about in this verse is that we are called to give what we have, and when we do, we will build robust lives with God that are enriched in every way. This is not a prosperity gospel. It's not give and it will be given unto you. But when we give of our time to other people, when we give of our resources to others, and when we give of our abilities and our gifts to others on God's behalf, then God in turn will grow and enrich our lives in every way, in more ways than I could possibly list. Now, Judy wants to just tell you a little bit about an act of generosity, a reckless act of generosity that the school over in Kasauli has chosen to do on the behalf of other people in their community.
We have really struggled. There has been a drought, and the families have been really badly affected by that, just not having a harvest at all. And we know that many of the children in our school are going home every night, as they say, just to sleep, because there's nothing to eat until they come back to school the next day. But they agreed, all the older children in our school, so we're talking 10 years and above, and all our staff agreed to fast, to miss their school lunch for 2 Wednesdays in the month, so that we could release money to take on a mission trip to Turkana in northern Kenya. I don't know if it's a place you know, but it's a tough place to survive, even when there hasn't been a drought. Bless them for doing that, because as I say, our budget is tight, but they released that money so that we could do that and bless people who are suffering even more than they.
I think that leads us brilliantly onto our 4th point that Paul talks about, and that is this act of worship. The school in Kasauli has given of themselves. They gave up their food for 2 whole Wednesdays, when that really is something that is so highly prized. But they gave that up. They sacrificed as an act of worship in order to bless others, in order to provide missionary time and missionary support for another community that is suffering even more than them. And as a result of that, we have this overflow of thanksgiving, overflow of praise to God. And the 5th and final point that Paul talks about is that when we are generous, recklessly generous, that the people that we are generous to will approve of the service that we have given them. And in turn, they will glorify God because of our submission and because of our confession of the gospel of Christ. And that is the basis of our faith. When we love others, when we give of Christ, then people will see the light that is shining in our own lives. And by seeing the light that is shining in our lives, they will in turn respond and draw near to God. But this message isn't just from one Christian to another. Yes, we should be blessing our brothers and sisters in Christ. Yes, we should be supporting our local church. Yes, we should be giving of our time and our finances wisely. However, this is the gospel that we're talking about. And the gospel is for everyone. The gospel is there to help not just Christians, but also the lost. There is a lost community out there that needs God's reckless generosity to be shown through the Christians in their communities. And we are those Christians in those communities. So I'm going to pray. Father, help us to be recklessly generous of our time, of ourselves, of our gifts, of our talents, of our influence that you have provided to us. Help us to see places in our community, places in our lives that we can pour lavishly our generosity into them, and in turn be a blessing to those communities. We thank you for all of the gifts that you have given us. We thank you that we have time. We thank you that we have provisions. We thank you that we have gifts and attributes, and we just pray, Father, that you would awaken us to a way that we would be enabled to use those in the way that you want. Amen. So guys, thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget to check out our Just Giving page if you want to help Terry and Judy in their call over in Kasauli in Kenya, and check out our videos next week. See ya, bye.